Another Terran versus Protoss. Agh and Drewbie. Did we do the sponsor for that match?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I think I stole it from you, sorry.
Yeah.
Root Gaming, guys, if you were wondering, is the sponsor for this series, this round of 16, set 1. So
I'm getting to that point where all the matches are sort of blurring together because we've done so many PVTs in a row where it's hard to remember if you've done that or not. So we do see that now that we're on Metalopolis, we've got the close ground spawn. This is what I was talking about, with the spawns being very, very important on Metalopolis. These close ground spawns are actually shorter than the rush distance on LG.Agh Caverns. So a map that's traditionally thought of as the macro map, when you land in these spawns, it can be extremely aggressive. And that's going to help out with the sort of style that we saw from Drewbie last game. If he chooses to repeat that here in game number 2. Drewbie, one of the things that makes him so good, like a lot of the other top tier players, is he can throw a very large variety of strategies at you. So Agh right now is probably thinking of, okay, how do I beat that stupid Marauder Reaper split attack? And then Drewbie's probably going to do something completely different. It's part of just what makes a really good player even better, is when they're unpredictable. So really curious to see what Drewbie's going to go for here in game number 2, and if Agh is going to try and counter that strategy, or if he's going to realize, well, I guess I should just play standard, because he might not do it again, I hope.
Yeah, pretty much any opening here for either player is going to be obviously okay. We're going to see probably, I would expect Drewbie to do something again a little unorthodox. He does have the 1-game lead, so that Reaper play was very, very impressive, as you touched on. You don't ever see that. I don't think I've ever seen that outside of patch 1.01 until Reapers received that huge nerf. So pretty standard opening for both players, but it's going to be interesting. I think we'll probably see not a fast expand, but we'll probably see more one-basing, actually, I would assume, from both players, as these positions do, as you mentioned, lend to the quick aggression. The open natural here is just way too hard to defend, even for a Protoss that can create their own terrain. You really, really want to be careful about that, and it looks like Agh's trying to sneak that probe in the bottom. I don't think Drew saw it.
Ooh, yeah, he actually did successfully sneak that in. Ooh. He's going straight over for the gas. I'm not sure that's the best place to be trying to hide a pylon, because a lot of the really good players do drop their next supply depot around over in this gas. He's actually not in the gas, so if Drewbie goes to build a refinery, he will see that probe there, I think, when the SCV moves up to the top of the refinery. So he does need to get that a little bit better positioned. If he is going for this, what you see a lot of times, you can do one of two things when you get your probe into the base like this. You can either drop a pylon and hope they don't find it and just sit there going, please, 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 and forgate. Or the other thing, which I think is a little bit more likely from Agh, is you sit here, you wait, and then you count a couple minutes, hope he doesn't see it, and then you go and look and see what he's doing in his base. Because it'll come at a point in time where it's really tough to scout your opponent because you don't have an observer out or anything like that. And you basically get a free scout on what he's building. So we haven't seen a pylon yet. So Agh is actually going to move this probe back into the base and just take a really good look around, try and figure out what Drewbie's plan is. He sees 4 racks in the command center. So he sees, oh, you fast expanded on me. Oh crap, I don't have a Nexus yet.
The probe suicided.
And the problem with this is if you'd seen it earlier, he would have been able to drop a Nexus. But Drewbie already has the 4 barracks almost about to finish. This Nexus is just slightly late. So if Drewbie does actually go for a timing attack, he could do some damage, given these really short positions, but it would be very, very narrow window for Drewbie to do so. Most likely, Agh will be alright.
And Drewbie needs to get some Marauders added to that composition, primarily Stalkers being produced by Agh right now. So Marines, great. DPS, great. Getting kited by Stalkers, not good. So we'll see. Drewbie does see that Stalker pointing around. It's done pretty good damage, actually, with the front there of Drewbie's base, forcing him to get another bunker up, actually, which is very good. Agh with just a little bit of Stalker poking has forced a second bunker, which is alright for him. Now you're going to see these Stalkers actually just come in and continue harassment. Marauders do need to be added here by Drewbie pretty shortly. Again, Marines not so good.
Well, Marines without stim, not so good.
No gas for Drewbie.
Yeah,
just saw that.
That's the problem, is if he had Stim and was working on combat shields, he'd be alright here. He's got no Stim, he wasn't able to get up an extra bunker, he just has Marines. And without that movement speed and without the increased firing rate, the Stalkers do pretty well if you micro them. So Agh is doing a pretty good job of buying some time here, just because of the fact that Drewbie doesn't have that tech on the way. He was just delaying, getting a couple more Marines and SCVs out on the field, not wanting to cut any SCVs to get those refineries out. But Drewbie responding by just pulling a lot of Marines, pulling a few SCVs. He's going for this harassment. There's only one sentry out, and it did use a Guardian Shield instead of a Force Field, so Drewbie is going to be able to do a good amount of damage here. Workers being pulled off the line from Agh. If Drewbie micros this, he could kill quite a few probes. And he is going to focus down these Stalkers. These Zealots could go down as well. Drewbie's really good at that stutter step micro. And I mean, even the fact that he forced that many probes to be pulled just by pulling 4 workers of his own is pretty much an economic gain for him. He doesn't really have to push this issue for too much longer. He got what he wanted, he delayed his opponent, and now he can just move back into his base and tech up a little bit more.
Very, very cost-effective push from Drewbie there. So trading off a handful of Stalkers, a Zealot, just for a few Marines. No real intel gain from Drewbie. That's one thing I'm looking. If you look at the Drewbie cam, he doesn't see robotics. He doesn't see anything just yet. So no extra intel gained, but very, very cost-effective. Just using these unstimmed Marines. Basically, he's going to force Agh to start producing more gateway units, more than he wanted to. And that's going to put him behind, going to use supply, and he's not going to be able to get into Colossus as fast. So the Marines doing really great stutter stepping again here, Drewbie. Very, very good for that. Great pull, shredding Zealots, and now there's only Sentries and Stalkers left. Stim is going to be half.
He's enough for Guardian Shield. That Guardian Shield helps so much against Marines because it's a really quick, low damage firing. Guardian Shield's just amazing. Now he's warping and right on top of the Marines, which is not exactly the best idea. Pulling workers once again, but they do trap the Marines, so he will be able to clear that out. But again, that entire time, Agh was not mining. If you look at the worker count, it's now 28 to 35. Drewbie, even though he lost a lot of Marines there, they're Marines. They rebuild so quickly. And he basically didn't lose anything for shutting down the economy of Agh for a pretty good amount of time. So he's actually still pulling ahead with this. If you look, Agh isn't teching. He's still only on 3 warp gates. He hasn't been able to get the money to drop extra gateways because he's been having to warp in constantly. For him to make these extra gateways, he actually has to stop warping and he has to cut probe production. Something that he doesn't want to do at the moment, either one. So he's actually hurt the macro of Agh at the same time just because he's stuck on 3 gateways here.
Yeah, Agh producing primarily Sentries now. He's that should have been done a little sooner, as you mentioned. Guardian Shield, Force Field, extremely critical in zoning those Marines, splitting them up, pushing them back. Don't let them into your probe line. Don't let them behind your Nexus, that kind of thing. So sentry damage is very decent versus Marines as well. So it's not something that you need to neglect. But this death push is coming from Drewbie over the top. They have Stim. The Marauders do not have Concussive Shell. It's not required. There is only 1 Immortal out from Agh right now. Nothing else. More Zealots in production. Stim goes down. There's the Force Fields. Not a super great... Nah, it's a better spread there as it locks in the units on the right. But the Mortal not able to target fire. It goes down, and it looks like Drewbie's probably going to clean up these remaining. Great arc from Drewbie. Look at that. All the units attacking at the same time. Force Field's not zoning the units properly, and Agh's going to lose a remarkable amount of units here, as well as probes, if not GG.
Yeah, Drewbie, that you can see how much of a difference that Stim makes. He just completely rolled over Agh there. Once it's finished, he kills almost all the entire units here and the workers. There's the GG, well played from Agh.